Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I've got a very personal commentary for you about quitting Zoloft. It's been a huge struggle and a challenge and probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. So I wanted to share it with you both as a personal update as to why my uploads are a little bit less frequent and as a warning to those of you that might be considering the medication. The gameplay you're going to get to see is Modern Warfare Remastered. I am using not a sniper rifle on Bog, which is the map I hate the most because the spawns are the worst and because everybody snipes, but I'm trying to win and be useful anyway. So challenging gameplay, challenging life moment, let's just roll with it. I'm very open about my personal life and struggles and decisions and things like that on this channel, so it shouldn't come as a surprise to many of you to know that I have struggled with depression on and off in my life. It's not a boo-hoo, woe is me, the world is awful sort of thing. I've actually got a pretty good life and a lot of good things going on, but unfortunately that doesn't change some of the more traumatic experiences I've had in the past, or the fact that my brain chemistry just isn't quite right for reasons that we'll talk about later on, but it tends to be a little bit more depressive and actually much more aggressive and angry than you would suspect. Most of you know me as the calm stats guy, the nice peaceful zen guy on Twitter or whatever and streams, or honestly most people get that in real life too, but the nice, the patience and all that you see on the outside is not necessarily the same as what's going on the inside, which is oftentimes a lot of anger. It wasn't explosive or violent, it was the sort of burning, searing kind of anger, as a pastor once explained to me, kind of like if you'd taken a hot coal and put it in your coat pocket by your heart just to hold on to it just in case you needed to let it go later, and it would just slowly burn and sear you over time. I had problems with that, and I had problems letting go of things, and I had problems with depression, so I went to see a psychiatrist about it, and based on a dozen different things, he recommended Zoloft. I am immensely averse to prescription medications because I was forced to take several antipsychotic meds as a child, hence the strange brain chemistry, and some other drugs that would eventually be discontinued for horrible side effects that did weird things to me. So the guy says you should take Zoloft, and I almost shit the bed all over the place. I couldn't handle it. I had to go home and think about it, and I decided to sit down and pretend that I was the doctor and somebody came in with my symptoms. What would I tell them? And I would tell somebody else to take the medication, so it only seemed appropriate that I would take my own advice. I read about it, the symptoms were minor, the effects seemed relatively minor. I didn't think about reading about withdrawals because I'd been out of the medication game for so long, I didn't even think about it, right? So I ended up taking Zoloft for about 18 months, relatively low dosage, and honest to God, it worked great. I have no complaints whatsoever about how the medication worked. It made me just slightly calmer, but it gave me the ability to let go of things, mostly frustrations and angers, that I was not able to do so before, and the depression more or less went away slowly over time. So it worked great, but it's an SSRI medication, and one of the things that those do is that if you stop taking them and then get back on them, they don't always work the same. Well, last September, my dad had a back surgery that didn't go so great, so I had to go help him out. I know that's a long time ago, but just bear with me. And I went down, and there was an issue with the doctor's office and my insurance and traveling and getting it filled, and I got off the medication for 5 days. That was long enough for my body, I think, to assume that I'd gotten off of it, or at least partially off of it. So when I got back on, it never worked quite right. I had issues and struggles, and it did weird things to my stomach that I didn't particularly like. So when my insurance changed again, God bless Blue Cross Blue Shield, that no longer covers more pharmacies than I can list and more medications than I can think of, I just decided it was supposed to be a short-term medication. It's not working right. Can't pay for it with insurance. Let's just go ahead and quit. And the psychiatrist said it was kind of a bad idea, but as a patient, it was my right, so I could go ahead and do it. And he suggested tapering off the medication, which is what you're supposed to do. And I tapered as appropriate, but then something changed. I signed a contract to stream at PAX, and I'm here. This is my hotel room in San Francisco right now. I'm doing some things here in San Francisco that I can't talk about at the moment, but it required me to be here, be personable, be a functional adult, and not in withdrawal land. And Zoloft was supposed to have minor withdrawals, right? It wasn't supposed to be too bad, but I figured just in case something's wrong, I'm going to accelerate my tapering a little bit, because the tapering was supposed to end when I was supposed to be on stream, which would be the time the withdrawals are the worst, and I didn't want to be a bad entertainer of sorts. I wanted to live up to my contractual obligations. I felt that was important, so I did the accelerated tapering. The accelerated tapering was okay, I suffered a bit, but once I stopped taking it, I don't know what went wrong, but my body just went bananas. I thought maybe I was sick. I thought maybe I was delusional or something was very inherently wrong. I had all sorts of strange symptoms, flushes, migraines, unclear thinking, inability to focus, anger, complete random mood swings, depression, lots of bad things. So I was like, this is not supposed to be doing this. So I decided to go to Google, and I looked it up, and Google said the same thing the doctor did, that withdrawing from Zoloft is supposed to be minor. It's not supposed to be a big deal, right? And I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm just hypersensitive. Maybe I'm just being a wiener, or maybe I'm just being a big old pussy here and I need to get over it. And then I decided to go read some report forums, like some kind of patient forums. You know, they're not super great, not Yahoo Answers, but like it's where people get on there and they write about their experiences with the medication. And lo and behold, I saw so many people writing about awful, awful withdrawal symptoms from Zoloft. Just people were writing all sorts of terrible, terrible stuff that, honest to God, sounded much worse than what I was going through. And I was like, well, what in the Sam hell is going on here? And I read that there were lawsuits about the withdrawals. It was very difficult to quit. And I actually had a couple of friends of mine, when I opened up about it, mentioned to me that they had tried to quit and it was super bad. And I feel like I've honestly been deceived on that front, because my experience has been that this just straight fucks you up. I don't like to curse on this channel too much, but I've been legitimately fucked up for 3 weeks now, maybe a little bit more, and that is why on the channel I haven't been uploading very frequently. I haven't been streaming nearly as much. I don't know, I think I've kept the uploads pretty frequent, but instead of doing every day, I'm kind of missing and skipping days now. I've been misspelling and weird on social media and stuff, because I've been more fucked up these last 3 weeks than I have ever been in my entire life about anything. Quitting this medication is the hardest thing I have ever done in my entire fucking life. I don't even... Anyway, I'm going to stop saying fucking now and get back on track. Symptoms I got are, it started off with migraines. Good old-fashioned migraines. Those, yeah, I had those as a kid, so while they sucked really bad, I was able to deal with it. You know, I was able to suck it up and function. Then I got these weird, like, electric hot and cold flashes. It would be kind of like... it feels sort of like a creeping, tingling electricity, or maybe, I think another good way to describe it would be, do you ever see something really scary, or somebody tells you really awful, terrible news, and you feel that cold flush just flow down your body, and you shiver just a smidge, and it just feels like you're being covered in cold slime? Kind of like that, but maybe without the emotional impact. So that wasn't very pleasant. I got insomnia, which basically blew after not sleeping for a long time. I got a lot less functional, a lot less zombie-like. But unfortunately, that wasn't the worst of it. My mind has also been affected the last couple of weeks here. I've had a lot of unclear thinking, inability to focus, inability to do math, inability to do math, inability to spell properly, some maybe not so great connotations and analysis, losing focus very, very easily. I think they describe the symptom as brain zaps. It kind of comes and goes, and sometimes it just feels like all your thought and processing power goes away. But the worst of it was probably the random mood swings and major return of depression. So you take the medication for depression. When you stop taking it, the depression comes back, at least in the short term, right? And couple that with mood swings. I could go from like ecstatic, like manic, like working hard, happy exercise, and 15 minutes later, I can feel it too. Like I can feel the mood changing. Like 15 minutes later, I'm angry as shit. I hate everyone. I want to kick Boomy because he's being lazy and laying on the floor. I'm mad at Jessica because her phone is too bright, or because she made a weird turn in the car. And I kind of just turn into a cranky asshole. So in order to not be an asshole, I know happens, I have to like withdraw really hard and go and like hide under my rock and avoid everybody, which makes me unsociable. And the social network is what you need in a hard time like this, and it kind of pushes me away from my wife, which is again the person whose support that you need in a time like this. And all of that lasted for about 3 weeks of varying times and intensities. So at any given point in the day, I could be working, making videos, everything's fine, and just snap your fingers, and I can barely focus on my edits. I am not spelling the text on the screen. I've never done that really well anyway to begin with, and I just hate everything. I just like vitriolic anger. So it's really sucked, even though it wasn't supposed to happen. Like, it wasn't supposed to be this way. Maybe I'm just on the hypersensitive train because everybody's body is different, but it fucked me up really bad. And for a while, I wanted to go and take the medication again. I was like, well, you know, I know, especially during the tapering process, when I felt bad, if I took a pill that day, I would feel much better, of course, because the medication was coming back. So it started off, I wanted to take the medication because I felt bad and I no longer wanted to hurt. And as the hurt continued and as the withdrawals got worse, I have never in my entire life thought about eating a bottle of pills until last week. I looked at the bottle and I was like, oh man, I would just love to eat every single one of these. But what scared me is that it wasn't a craving to make the pain go away. It was just like a craving, like chocolate or candy or something, like you just want to eat it and just want to take all of it. And I was like, man, that is not a healthy feeling. That is like some next level shit you've got going on here. So I had Jessica hide the medication bottle, and it's basically sucked ass, complete ass, all the way through. Like big fat stripper that hasn't bathed in a week and eats Chipotle and shits every day. Like that's the kind of ass that this thing sucks. So as a warning to all of you that are on this medication or considering taking it or considering stopping taking it, please bear in mind that the withdrawal phase can be extremely bad. I actually don't believe that it's common because all the literature suggests that it's not, but be prepared for a percentage chance of something really, really terrible, which is what I've been trying to go through, but still keep my shit together. I haven't. I've done so much bad stuff. I picked a fight with the Pink Wall team. I was mean to my dogs. I was mean to my wife. I was mean to some business partners. Hasn't been great lately, but thankfully I'm near the end of the withdrawal, so I'm thinking more clearly, not so much in the mood swings, and I'm kind of putting my shit back together here. So if you want to take Zoloft, keep in mind, yes, it can help you. It can be an amazing medication. It can help you with depression and anger. I actually, for the most part, felt that I thought more clearly on Zoloft than I did without it. But you're gambling when it comes time to quit. When it comes time to quit, you need to be prepared to just get your ass whooped for like 2 or 3 weeks, because that could happen. I don't think it's going to happen to most of you, but it really, really could happen. You could get really legitimately fucked up. So do keep in mind that quitting can be hard. Guys, that's all for this video. I didn't really have a great point. I just wanted to talk and share and warn others perhaps. If you enjoyed the video, which it's a little dark one to enjoy, I know, but if you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.